Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Josh for those nice things he said about me. I didn't have to write that script for him. He came up with that by himself, and that's very humbling. Yeah, really what I'd like to do is spend about 30 minutes painting a picture of what professionalism looks like. Professionalism is something, when somebody messes up in the culture, an athlete or a politician, what do we say? Well, that wasn't very professional. Don't we say that? And so it's about character, and it's about integrity, it's about all those things, but the thing that I think wraps up a bow around that whole thing is the idea of professionalism. So what does professionalism look like? And if you think of professionalism in a sense is what it looks like as you start approaching this top level, okay? But you're going to see elements of professionalism throughout this entire model. We're not going to have time to go through all the ABCs, but I'm going to show you very quickly the list, and don't try and write this down because it's all on the website, and I'll give you that web address when we're finished. And we're going to focus on the ones that are highlighted. Okay, so I'll just kind of let you look at that for just a second, and then we'll go on to this list. And the ones that are highlighted are the ones we're going to talk about. So let's talk about attitude. Attitude is one that you probably think of first when you think about professionalism. And as Josh already explained, it's really not the first, but it's the one we probably think of first. What is attitude? Or first of all, let's say, what is it not? Well, first of all, a professional attitude is not anything has nothing to do with how much you get paid. Professionalism is not about how much you get paid. It's not whether you get paid in general. Conforming to arbitrary rules and standards. There are so many arbitrary rules and standards that we're subjected to all the time. And in the sense that you do have integrity and you do have responsibility to follow those, yeah, there is an element of professionalism, but it's not just the act of following those that makes you a professional. Do you understand the difference? We have rules that we have to follow. We agree to a contract when we go to work for a company. They have certain rules. If we want to have integrity with the company and we want to respect the company, we have to follow some of those rules, right? Okay. But the rules themselves don't define integrity or don't define professionalism. All right, and the profession itself, you can be a professional no matter what your career is. We'll talk about that in just a second. Take a look at this quote. Can you see that okay? It's kind of small. The society which scorns excellence in plumbing as a humble activity and tolerates shoddiness in philosophy because it's an exalted activity will have neither good plumbing nor good philosophy. Neither its pipes nor its theories will hold water. Kind of a cute little phrase, but it's so true. I'll give you an example. I was thinking the other day, I thought, what does a pizza delivery person do? They bring food directly to my house, right? What does the news delivery person, Katie Couric, for example, do? Brings the news to my house. Why do we treat Katie Couric's profession so much higher and think of it in a more exalted way than we do what the pizza delivery person does? Aren't they really, in effect, doing the same thing? Let's get it a little tighter. What about the person that delivers the newspaper to my house? They're delivering news also. But why do we treat them as a second-class citizen, in a sense, at least think of them that way, and treat Katie Couric like she's something special? It's kind of a strange idea, isn't it? You can be a professional delivery person in anything. You can be a professional at anything you do. And it's all about your attitude. Think about how people arrive at their destinations. The bus driver and the airline pilot. Do you think of one as being a little bit more exalted profession than the other one? I know I do. I have that tendency. But aren't they really doing the exact same thing? Using a different vehicle. That's the only real difference. Okay, so if you are in any of those professions and you see yourself as a professional, do you think you might see what you do in a different light and behave differently? Attitude is really something that we choose. And we've talked about this, and so I'm not going to belabor that. And it's also a never-ending process. We've talked about that as well. It's important for attitude in small matters and large matters equally. In fact, I would propose that if you take shortcuts in the small things, you're more apt to do it in something that really matters. Think of yourself as taking a little shortcut when you play golf and you kind of bend the rules a little bit. Probably no consequence. Everybody moves their ball around a little bit or takes a putt or whatever. It doesn't matter because it's a small thing. But if you're going to take a shortcut on a small matter, when something really puts the pressure on you and you're really put to the fire, do you think that maybe you formed a habit that's going to come out in that situation? So that's why I say it's important in both big and small matters. Attitude is a product of our beliefs and values. We've already talked about that, and I think you are starting to get the idea that that's a core principle of development beyond learning. And the cause of our behaviors. Your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude. I think those of you that are Zig Ziglar fans have heard that said before. There's a little, I'm an IT guy. I like to draw flow charts, okay? That's a very simple flow chart. Values and beliefs lead to attitudes, which lead to behaviors, okay? Just a real simple diagram. Anything that changes your values will change your behaviors. So that's not saying that you can't adopt a new behavior apart from the value as an incentive to try and rethink yourself and reposture your mind. It does have some value to, let's just say, adopt a new habit with the idea that hopefully it will become something permanent. But generally, in most cases, it won't stick unless you then tie it back to the value. So if you want to take the approach, I'm going to make a behavior change because I want to lose weight. Well, if you remember why you want to do that and tie it back to that, then what you've done is you've made that connection, and now the belief can drive the behavior change. But if you don't tie it back to the value, you won't get there. Let's do some examples. Who are the Wright brothers? Everybody in Dayton, Ohio ought to know the answer to that question. They're the people that invented the airplane. What did they believe? What was their driving belief? That they could fly. They could fly, absolutely. And so what did they do as a result of their strong belief that they could fly? They made it happen. More specifically, they worked tirelessly. They worked in their laboratory. They invented a wind tunnel. They tested. They did mathematics. They invented aerodynamics, in a sense, okay? They didn't invent it, but they discovered it, all right? What about Thomas Edison? Light bulb. Somebody said he tried 10,000 times before he got it right. But he believed that there was such a thing as an incandescent light bulb that would light people's homes, and he worked tirelessly till he made it happen. Story of David Lofchick. If you're a Zig Ziglar fan, you've also heard this story, but I'm just going to tell you the highlights very quickly. David Lofchick was a young boy born with cerebral palsy, and his parents had a strong belief that they wanted their child, they loved their child so much that they were not going to settle for this child being subjected to a second-rate lifestyle. They wanted him to have everything that a normal boy or girl could have. And so they went to see a doctor, and the doctor says, your son has cerebral palsy. He is never going to learn how to walk or ride a bicycle or put on a pair of skates. They went and saw another doctor. The doctor said the same thing. He'll never be able to walk, never be able to ride a bike or skate. Doctor after doctor gave him the same message. They finally found a specialist in another city. They went there, and the doctor said the same thing. Said, your boy will never learn to walk or ride a bicycle or skate if you listen to what everybody else is saying. And then they knew they had the right doctor. That doctor told them what was going to be necessary for this child to overcome this birth defect. And it involved braces on the legs. It involved exercise till the child was just, I mean, they put him through a very rigorous program of exercise. This child grew up to be a strong, healthy man who I believe was named Mr. Canada because of his physique and his conditioning. He also was given a life insurance policy for the first time in Canada to any person born with cerebral palsy. Now that's the short version. When Zig Ziglar tells it, it's much more dramatic, but you get the idea. The parents had a belief, a strong belief. They loved their child. They were not going to settle for second for this child, no matter what he was born with. That's how behavior and belief are connected to attitude and outcomes.